I once saw an ad from Amazon Dash. So this is an advert where someone just clicked the button and then a drone delivered a bounty and some other consumer goods to them. And I was like, this is really great technology. And how can this sort of thing help us to get products into stores? Because we're always saying, look, how do we get more products into stores?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this podcast from. This is the Adventures Podcast, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this very maiden edition of the podcast. On the Adventures Podcast, we seek to share inspiring stories of courage and vision behind the organizations and the brands that you see and interact with every day. By sharing their stories, we hope that you can learn from their journey, some of their pitfalls, some of their mistakes, and by so doing, you can accelerate your own journey to entrepreneurial success. Joining us for this very first edition of the podcast is Mr. Sefa Ikyaator, the founder and the CEO of Suplias, also known as Obtainly. Obtainly is a B2B financing outfit that provide inventory financing and LPO support for SMEs within the FMCG space. And he is here today to share with us profound insight on his journey that he has gathered in the course of his journey as a business founder and leader. I will encourage you to please get your writing materials, sit back, have fun as we go through this conversation. But much, much more than that, look out for tips and look out for insight that will help you even as you embark on your own entrepreneurial journey. Once again, thank you for joining us for this particular podcast. Looking forward to hearing your feedback. It's a pleasure to have you around. Sefa, you want to say hello to our viewers?
Hello. Really, really feel good to be here. So hello to the
Awesome.
viewers and thanks for inviting me, Kunle.
Thanks. It's a great pleasure. Sefa is the founder and the CEO of Suplias, right? And today we basically want to travel, go on a journey on how Sefa founded this particular outfit, right? And what a journey has been like over the years. Our intent is we want to hear the stories. We want to hear, some of the pitfalls, some of the great things that happened. We will go, question by question. Our intent, hopefully, is that we'll be able to take a lot of learning from it, and then by so doing, help younger entrepreneurs coming behind you to even go faster. All right. So, Safa, once again, great to have you around. If you can start by telling us a little bit about, Suplias, what you do. So take this as your unpaid advert.
Ah,
you know.
ah, all right. So
Yeah.
sup- suppliers helps SMEs, right, to with inventory financing. So that's what we do. Basically working capital that mom and pop stores, retailers, wholesalers, distributors in our markets like Ocharin and the rest. We provide working capital for them to buy products from their suppliers.
Wow.
That's what we do. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And Safa, can you tell us a little about the scale of your operation today in terms of maybe the number of retailers, wholesalers, mom and pop stores that you work with today, like the scale of exposure that you currently have? I'm sure everything is properly, the risk is properly managed and all of that, but just a little bit of idea in terms of scale. What can you say to that?
Yes. So we will try to shy away from giving like specific numbers of our business, being that we're a super private company, right? But we operate across. We have two main apps. One is for retailers and the other is for distributors, right? And today we have customers across Nigeria and most of the states. You can hardly pick a state where we do not have a customer, right? So that sort of thing. One thing I can tell you is we have such a great process that our collection rate is 99.9%. So 99.9% of all the um, loans, so to speak, that we've given out, we've collected it back. And that's based on the systems that we have, you know, and also how easy it is. And most importantly, we work in line with what our customers really love, the everyday way that the buy and sell. So it's really convenient for them to pay back as well. So that's why we have such an awesome collection rate. Yes.
Thanks a lot for sharing that, Sefa. You don't know how much I am tempted to want to double click into your process, right, to understand how you do that, because I know that's a whole lot, right? I mean, my process oriented brain really want to get into the nitty gritty of that, but I'm pushing back on that temptation. So I want to stay on the an agenda that my directors have given me. So let's come back and talk about how this idea came to be, right? How did you generate these ideas? What were the pain points that you saw in the market, and how were you able to crystallize this into something sellable?
Yeah. So, I mean, my background, but just for you viewers, has been in FMCG professionally, right? And we met at Procter and Gamble, where I spent a lot of my career. And what we used to do back then is always try to keep it as simple as possible to get the products into more stores, right? To drive distribution. And I would always think, what's the best way to do this? So I once saw an ad from Amazon Dash. So this is an advert where someone just clicked the button and then a drone delivered a bounty and some other consumer goods to them. And I was like, this is really great technology. And how can this sort of thing help us to get products into stores? Because we're always saying, look, how do we get more products into stores? And what came to my mind was, look, we may not have a button to click, but we can have an app. We may not have a drone to deliver, but we can have the same vans that take this product and make it way more efficient, because a lot of the times the vans drive to the customers to sell, but they are not able to sell. That there's some inefficiencies there that I was like, look, we should be able to solve this. So I called my friend and co-founder, Steven. I said, Steven, this is what I think. Can we build something to test it out? Like 3 weeks later, we had like an app out there and we're just trying it. What we'll do is we'll give out the app to retailers and say, look, place an order on this app and it's going to be delivered to you the next day. And we did that pilot for, say, 3 months, and we saw that there was something there. I was like, look, these people are using this app. It's not a joke, they're using the app. And so we did that. We at some point left our jobs and said, look, I was in Lagos already. Steven was in Abuja. He resigned. I met me in Lagos, and I resigned eventually to join Suplias full time. Now, at the time, the original idea was getting the products to the stores. What we discovered after some time was that while these retailers and wholesalers were interested in getting products in an efficient manner, what's most important for them, the biggest pain point was actually access to finance to, run and grow their business. So we felt like, look, if today what's most important to our customers is actually access to finance, then it would be great to pivot to that. And so we had a conversation, and that's where we started out Obtainly, which is our product that we use for financing inventory for mom and pop stores and distributors.
Hang on. So let me get this correct, right? So originally, this was a logistics intervention, right?
Absolutely.
just
Yes.
fix the whole supply chain inefficiencies, get the product to them faster, quicker, right? So that because these guys don't have a lot of money to hold a lot of inventory, so they need to get stuff on the go. This was the original
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yes, that was
So
it. Yeah.
what I'm hearing is, as you started working with them, you spotted another opportunity, right, to do more of like inventory financing, and then you pivoted into that. Is that correct?
Yes, like we're very, very accurate. That's what happened. We experienced a couple of challenges as well. So when we saw
Yeah.
that this wasn't even their biggest problem, and we had challenges that we didn't have a solution to, we decided to pivot. We can talk more about some of those challenges later on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully we will get to some of the challenges because
yeah.
we say to our viewers, people who have done it before know where the bodies are buried, right? You have the
Mm.
experiences, you know the
Now I'm
stories, you know.
scared.
Yeah, don't be scared, right?
Okay.
It will be good to get into that at some point. But before we do that, I've had a couple of interfaces with a few entrepreneurs here and there, and one of the big issues that they have is putting numbers to their opportunities, right? Being able to do some kind of quantification, if you get what I mean. Now, how do you what we call size of price, but back in the day, right? How quantify the opportunity and in a no disrespect meant for MBA folks, right? But in a not MBA kind of language, how did you kind of quantify the opportunities to know that this is sizable enough and this can be something. How did you cross that hurdle?
So I think first is I don't think it's even as complex as you're making it sound. Uh,
So
yes, yes, it's really about how many type of customers. So, I mean, NBA people will talk about bottom up, top down approach for market sizing, but the simple thing for someone who's starting out, you know, it's really this is the product or service that I'm offering. This is the amount that I can charge. How many people can I sell to? These are the number of people that I can sell to. If
yeah.
I multiply that together, how much can I get in terms of revenue for this business? That's it.
Mm.
Nothing more complex than that. There's absolutely nothing more complex because the business is going to evolve, right? It's going to evolve. Uber started as a taxi, right? They used to own their cars. And they used to own their cars. You get what I mean? So there's something Mark Zuckerberg is famous for saying that ideas don't come out fully formed.
Yeah.
So what you should do is just get the service you want
Started.
to offer. How many people do you think you can reach with this? That way you know if it's big or small enough, right? And so you can now go into saying, what is this business eventually going to evolve to at saturation point? Is this business the type of business that is going to evolve to being $1 million business, $100 million business, $1 billion business, $10 billion business?
Yeah.
So that way you'll be able to tell, right? By a simple, this is what I'm offering per customer. How many potential customers can I have? That's it.
Can I help? I mean, thanks a lot, Sefa, for simply. I've always known you for simplifying things anyway. So you have a knack for making very complex things go, make it keeping it simple. So thanks a lot for that. You know, uh, yeah, and I'm just thinking. You mentioned that when Steven first developed that app, right? That you guys did some kind of pilot back in Abuja, back in the day. Now, I know that you probably have some kind of retailers that you started with, but when you're pivoting into the financing and all of that, how did you? There is a broad category of retailers, wholesalers, and all of that, but I'm sure that you probably did some further profiling to know that the kind of people you can, support, give money to risk assessment and all those kind of stuff. Can you shed a little light on that in terms of how you profile your customers or potential customers?
Yes. So at the time, we had to meet these people. I mean, we're interacting with them all the time and hearing this problem, right? And so it was not about profiling them because we already had that much interactions with the same people from my background in FMCG sales, and all that. I had already known a lot of these people. My family owns a distribution business, so it's kind of like stuff that that profiling wasn't the issue. The issue was more from the side of the required skill set to solve this problem, which we didn't have at the time, right? Because we're moving from people who knew how to move products from one place to another, going into the lending, which is a different ballgame because of the credit risk. So that was more of a challenge at the time, us trying to get the expertise that is required and test things out, right? So, of course, we started. One thing that can be helpful is we tested a couple of things before even building an app. When we're moving to build Obtain, yes, we tested a couple of things, yeah, before even building an app to say, okay, if we give out this money to these customers, when are they gonna? And we want them to pay back in a certain way. How are we going to tell if this works or not? So we did all of that testing really, really manually before building any app. So when we're building the app, we had already known what exactly will work, what will not work. I'll give an example.
Okay, I was going to ask you for that.
Yes, we take a certain. We give a credit line, and our credit is every 30 days. So you pay and you get it again, and it's a credit line. And
you pay the full amount every 30 days.
Yes, you pay the full amount. Okay. And so what we say is there's a sweet spot where is you ensure that your credit is large enough for the customer to place an order, yet small enough for it to be so easy for them to pay back. And so we have to adjust. What does that really mean in the most simplified way, right? I'm laughing because I don't know if I have to share all of this, but yes, what does it mean in the most
it's
simplified
totally fine.
way?
It's totally fine. You're okay. Just go ahead.
So anyway, we're able to adjust certain things to get to the percentage of somebody's business turnover that makes sense for a certain type of business. So while you imagine you go through a process where you analyze different businesses from a credit point of view, and you do all sorts of things to get to what the credit line would be, the amount. And we went through the process to incredibly make it simple, where we just know that that's a certain percentage of the person's turnover for this type of business. Because remember, I was dealing with the exact same type of businesses, right? And that's why we grade them, and so now moving too far away from where we are, but don't worry, if I go too far away, you can bring me back.
I'll bring you back.
One of the things that differentiates us from a typical lender is we lend to the exact same type of people. So our assessment takes a very short period because it's the same type of people. Because we know there's a wide range. You've
all that industry works.
A lot of it, right? So we know. And so we don't have to go and start from scratch, right?
From scratch.
That sort of thing, yes. So and a typical lender has a wide range of people they are dealing with. So every single time they're analyzing the business, they have to go and profile. For us, we keep it very simple. It's the same set of people. And we've analyzed so many of them, their P&Ls, every single thing, right? And so once we see the business, we know exactly what to do in terms of credit assessment and analysis, yeah.
Wow. So it means basically that they tell you what their turnover is, you confirm that number, and you know exactly how much you can offer them. As simple as that, because you know supply chain, you know the turnover, you know the industry like the back of your hand, right? So you just basically.
Yes, if I was going to oversimplify, that's what I'll say. But we get some other things, right, which we've
Of course,
automated to make it very simple. But yes, that's the simplest way that it can be put, right? So typically, if someone tells me their turnover for the type of business, I can tell them like, okay, I think that this is the
It's what
range
you
of what's
need.
going to come out. But just give us a day. We'll do this stuff, and then we'll be back.
And it will come
Right?
back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And these loans, are they in any way collateralized, or
No,
you
no,
just
no, no, not with landed property, right? We
okay?
would use things like the inventory itself. It could be
Okay.
something, but not with landed property. We have
Not
other
with
ways to ensure that we
get
mitigate
money.
that risk. Yes.